Chat joins me live from London to discuss this development. Thank you very much for finding time to join us.
Oh, hello, good morning.
Well, the ceasefire as well as the peace deal appears to have brought in a new lease of life for South Sudan. But recall that the opposition leader, Riek Machar, had earlier rejected the final version of the peace agreement, raising issues like number of states South Sudan will have, the boundaries, as well as other security arrangements. Do you see him changing his mind? And if it doesn't, what is a peace deal without Machar?
Oh, yes, I think the update on that is the Sudanese mediators have confirmed that Riek Machar has accepted to sign the last draft as of towards the end of this week. So this is expected to happen. I hope so, if he doesn't change his mind again. But this is what the foreign minister of Sudan has confirmed yesterday.
Our previous South Sudan peace deals that have held only lasted for a matter of months. Do you see this changing the tide?
Yes, this particular peace attempt is slightly different from the previous ones because Sudan and Uganda are cooperating. Sudan and Uganda have the greatest influence on the partners that are in conflict. Sudan being seen as closer to the rebel groups, and Uganda is being seen as closer to the government. So if the two sides are communicating, there seems to be an indication because of that Sudan has the leverage over the rebel groups. This is why people think that maybe this time around, the peace is more likely to last. But, you know, it's impossible to predict everything regarding the politics of South Sudan because the personal relationships are quite fractious. So we will wait and see, but we are slightly more optimistic this time than the previous times.
President Kiir had blamed the collapse of earlier agreements on foreign influence. How relevant do you think that will be as regards this particular ongoing peace deal?
I think such statements from all sides are uttered for political reasons and that are not based on any facts. So we don't think that this is going to have any effect on this peace deal or the future of it.
But talking about foreign influence, the White House said just last month it doubts whether Kiir and Machar have the leadership quality needed to deliver peace, adding that it would impose fresh sanctions on anyone who threatens South Sudan's stability. You seem to think quite differently.
I think the Westerners seem to have distanced themselves slightly from this peace process. They are still part of it, by the way. You know, this peace deal that has just been put through is happening under the supervision of what we call IGAD. This is the regional organization to which Sudan and South Sudan and Ethiopia and all those neighboring countries in Northeast Africa belong. So it's happening under IGAD, but also IGAD is partnering with the African Union, as well as with what we call the Troika. These are the Western countries that have historically been involved in South Sudan, namely the US, the UK, and Norway. So they are involved. However, they are keeping a low profile. I think they prefer Riek Machar to exit from the South Sudan political scene. But the African neighbors are more realistic. They don't see that as possible without South Sudan being invaded. So in the absence of forcing any of these, this particular option, we cannot see how Riek Machar and Kiir can be removed. But I think the Americans are saying these statements just to keep the pressure on both sides. This is what we see, if you want to look at it in a positive way.
Marwan, some have said that signing a peace deal is just the first step in achieving peace in this part of Africa. What other things would you say are necessary to ensure that this civil war that has been on since 2013 can finally be brought to a halt?
I think the big key here is really the role of Sudan and its leverage over the rebels. What has defied the mediators all this time is who can actually bend the arms of the rebel groups. And I think the key here is Sudan is willing to play a positive role. And Sudan has a motive. The Sudanese economy has virtually collapsed as well as the South Sudanese economy. The economies are interlinked because of the South Sudanese oil. Sudan is desperate for the oil to come out. And since this peace was, the first version of this peace was signed nearly something like 8 or 10 weeks ago, the Sudanese and the South Sudanese government have been cooperating over oil, and oil production has increased now by 4,000 to 5,000 barrels a day. That already has had an impact on the Sudanese economy. So we believe that the role of Sudan and the incentive of Sudan to be involved in this for its own survival is going to be key for this peace.
Thank you very much, African Affairs Analyst Marwan Mutat, for sharing your thoughts on this particular issue.
Thank you very much.